Hi everyone, my name is Quynh Vu with Team Sage and I'm here at Real Talk Media today and I'm so excited to have our guest Lee Berry, an estate planner who's going to teach us more today.
Thanks for having me.
So hey Lee, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about estate planning because sometimes it can be a really difficult conversation to have with people and people get overwhelmed. If people are starting to think about estate planning, where do you recommend they start?
Yeah, that's a good question. Estate planning is not one of the easiest things to talk about. And it can be overwhelming, but the way we like to see that is that people just have a lot of options, right? In terms of starting, I think it's just that. People should just get started. If you're thinking about doing this, now's the time to do it. Estate planning is something where every year more and more people get it done, but there's still a substantial number of people that haven't started yet. And estate plan is something that everyone should consider.
So you said something really important. You said that this is something everyone should consider. I think that there's like a myth out there that you have to be really, ultra wealthy to even consider estate planning. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's probably one of the biggest misconceptions in estate planning is that estate planning is reserved for the ultra wealthy, and that's not true. And the first reason is because a large part of the estate planning process is just planning for incapacity, right? So my grandma, for example, had Alzheimer's for over 10 years. So a large part, or arguably the most important part of her estate plan, had nothing to do with what she owned. It was simply putting people she trusted in place to help her financially and medically. So incapacity is a big one. And the second reason is that the amount of money to get into probate in California is relatively low. The amount of money, or the statutory limit, is $166,250, which is not a hard number to hit here in Southern California, right? So if you own real estate, even if you don't, it's a pretty easy number to hit.
Okay. So no, that's such a good point. So it sounds like you don't need to be rich in order to have an estate plan. You just need to be concerned about how things are going to, transpire after you're not able to make some of your decisions. And the estate planning is to allow you to help look after other people. It's not necessarily all about the money that you have.
Exactly, yeah. And then also the big one that most people try to focus on is, of course, probate. People want to avoid probate. And one of the best ways to do that is to set up an estate plan, either a trust, will, power of attorney, medical directive. Building a plan that is designed to protect you or you and your family is one of the best ways to do that.
So I don't know if this is like a silly question, but can you tell me a little bit more about what probate is? Because I feel like a lot of people hear that word kind of thrown around, but they don't really know what probate means.
Yeah, probate's one of those words everybody hears and no one has a good story about it.
Yeah.
And in California, it's not a pleasant process. So probate is California's estate plan for you. So if you don't build your own, California already has default rules that say where your property goes, how and when. So probate in California is a very expensive process. It's very time consuming and it's public. There is literally a mathematical formula that says how much money comes out of your estate if you go through it. Probate can used to take anywhere between 9 to 18 months, but post-COVID, probates are taking in excess of 2 to 3 years now to complete. And everything about the process is entirely public record. So what you own, how much it's worth, where it goes, all is private. So one of the benefits of trust is that you can distribute property without ever having to go to probate.
So would you say that, if I'm a homeowner and I have plans to pass on my house to my kids, I can't assume that people will know that plan unless I create like a will or a trust. Like the government may think like they want me to use probate instead of my own plan if I don't have one.
Right, so if you own real estate here, it's probably going to be worth more than that $166,000. So unless you have something else in place and that property goes through probate, California will say where that goes. People with children may not want their children to get the property at the age probate would give it to them. Oftentimes with trusts, parents hold on to property for extended period of times for their kids. So the benefit of estate planning is you get to control how things are done rather than the state for you.
Oh, wow. So you guys heard that. If you want to make decisions regarding your estate and you want to make sure that your property is passed on to your children, it's really important that you have an estate plan. So thank you, Lee. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for letting me come.